Good evening, everybody. Would you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Here. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Here.
Councilman Dooley?
Here.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Here.
Supervisor Calavita?
Here. Okay, welcome aboard. We have our opportunity to address the board on specific agenda items. There being no one here to discuss that, we'll move to appointments. We have the appointment of Senior Office Assistant in the Police Department, and our Comptroller is recommending the probationary appointment of Karen Barletta to the position of Senior Office Assistant-Police. Karen has successfully passed the civil service exam. Her name appears on the Westchester County Civil Service List, number 69-117. If approved, the appointment will be effective on March 7th, 2023, Group 7, Step 7A, at the annual rate of $78,736. The probationary period will run not less than 12 weeks and not more than 52 weeks, and funds have been provided for in the 2023 budget. And just so we're clear, Karen has been employed by the town for many, many years, but she wanted to take a test to improve her position, which is industrious and, of course, welcomed by the town board. And our policy has always been, if employees are going to take tests, better their grades, better their positioning, then, we should reward their, their zealousness and their ability to advance by putting them in the proper title and position. So that's what's basically happening here. And I would be delighted to move for the appointment of Karen to this position as aforesaid and ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. The next assistant building inspector position is tabled. Unfortunately, the person that said they were going to accept the position has now, I guess, renegotiated where they came from, and they're out. So we'll be coming back hopefully at the next meeting with a new, assistant building inspector. Anyway, that moves us to approval of the minutes of the February 7th, 2023 Town Board meeting. Any modifications or amendments? No, there being none, someone could make a motion to approve same as submitted.
I'll move it.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have the reports of departments, boards, and commissions. Mr. Rader?
Yes, good evening. First, I have a resolution authorizing the approval of an application for a parade permit submitted by the Eastchester St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee for the St. Patrick's Day Parade that will be held on Sunday, March 12th, 2023.
All right. I would make the motion, and I would also move that the board waive the fee for that parade permit as well. Anyone care to second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye.
Okay, next, I have a resolution authorizing a settlement of a certiorari proceeding instituted by Constantine Dakalias and Monique Couson, affecting the premises known as Section 6C, Block 2, Lot 16, 7 Hemlock Road in Bronxville. The assessment years on this property are 2019 through 2022, and the tax years 2020 to 2023, and the total town tax refund is $1,135.17.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
All right. Next, I'm going to call upon the Chief of Police for a couple of brief remarks. Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board. Thank you. I just want to make a couple remarks regarding an incident that happened on March 2nd. As most everybody's aware, we had a vehicle stolen from the north end of town that had a child in it. The vehicle was left running at a bus stop with the keys in it. The father brought another child to the bus, and the suspects jumped out of another car and jumped in his vehicle. We actually got additional video after the fact, and you could see it happened all within about 10 seconds. The father tried to stop the vehicle, but they took off. Eventually, they went a couple blocks. They took the child out, and they were going to take the vehicle, but once they were spotted, they abandoned the first stolen vehicle, and they fled in the vehicle they came in. Working with that information, within 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, we were able to identify the vehicle that they had come in. We didn't have a plate. We had no further information except the description. We identified the car. We were able to locate the car in New Jersey. It had been reported stolen the day before, or several days before, I'm sorry. And we were able to develop at least 2 suspects from that. Our detective division is currently working with various law enforcement agencies within the county, state, federal, and New Jersey to develop more suspects and bring a case. We're also working closely with the DA's office. And of course, we'll let we'll let everybody know when there's any updates. This just reiterates, I know this was a one-time event that probably could have happened to any of us, but please, everybody, make sure you lock your car, lock your doors, lock your house doors, keep your cameras on. We're doing the best we can out there. We had a chase last night. Unfortunately, there was a stolen vehicle that had come through town, again with New Jersey plates. Our officers pursued the vehicle. They fled, got on the Cross County Parkway, and they called off the chase just due to it being too dangerous. So, that seems to be the MO right now, is that they're coming from Jersey. We're seeing it's generally, within the county. It's not just Eastchester. It's certainly all the cities and all the towns, all the chiefs and all the departments are having the same problem. So I just want to remind everybody again, please lock your vehicle, be cognizant of your surroundings. Don't stop for anybody, that you may think might need help or something to that effect. You can always call and call us. We'll go check them out. But make sure you're cognizant of your surroundings. Real quick, on a more positive note, we had the DARE graduation for Ann Hutch last week. We're going to have the DARE graduation for Greenvale this Friday. Congratulations to them. And I just wanted to let everybody know the Michael Frey Mass will be Tuesday, March 21st at ICS. I know it's usually 7 o'clock. I believe that's still the start time. And the PBA will be hosting our annual pasta night to raise funds for the Michael Frey Scholarship Fund. That is going to be on April 22nd at the Greek Church on North Avenue. And lastly, while I have the mic, we do have open parking enforcement officer positions. If anybody's interested, they can find the application on the town website.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. Okay, next we have the Receiver of Taxes report for January and February, where you can receive and file, together with Town Clerk's report for January of 2023. Anything additional?
No.
Thank you. That moves us over to correspondence. We have a memorandum from the Controller on some part-time seasonal employees. I'll make the motion. Ask for a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have a memorandum from the Superintendent of Highways regarding a proposal and preparation for the annual stormwater report for 22-23 and the hourly rate and schedule. This is approximately $3,250, and this is an agreement with Dolph Rotfeld Engineering, PC, who will handle the preparation of the mandatory annual stormwater report for submission to the DEC. It's a 2-year cycle on our MS4 regulations. The money has been provided for in the Highway Department operating budget, and years ago the state came in and said you need to do an inventory of your sanitary sewers, your storm sewers, mandatory training of all employees, facilities improvements regarding stormwater management, and trickle down of fluids and all kinds of stuff, road fluid, oil, hydraulic fluid, et cetera. And we've been complying with that. Unfortunately, the state does not reimburse us at all, have not reimbursed us since probably 1996 or so, when this first started. Unfunded mandate, that's called. But we're doing it anyway because we want to comply with the state's requirements, and it's also a good thing for the environment. So someone care to make a motion to continue our consortium with Dolph Rotfeld Engineering, PC, for the approximate sum of $3,250?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum from the Chief of Police regarding the 911 intermunicipal agreement with the County of Westchester. And this is an excellent program that provides us with tons of services and all kinds of expedient and emergency communications and all. And of course, our Control 60 goes through here, which is the entity that sends all of the emergency calls to the town of Eastchester, and it's been around since July of '93, and this would be a renewal going to September 30th, 2027. And I'm delighted to move this because it helps our police department do what they do, especially in light of all that's going on now. So I ask for a second, please.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcoccia.
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita.
Aye. Next is a memorandum from my office regarding the resolution regarding Governor Hochul's New York Housing Compact proposal, the TOL, some call it TOD, and the ADU proposal. And this has the potential to be extraordinarily impactful on the town of Eastchester and any town in this area that is in within a half-mile or more of a MTA railroad station. And this is, this housing compact is, to give you the condensed version, Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and Bronxville are within a half-mile of the MTA tracks, and the Crestwood station, and the Tuckahoe station, and of course, the Bronxville station. And we have 3 years under the governor's law to increase our housing inventory by 3%. That's about 450 units. In addition to that, every 3 years thereafter, we have to continue to grow by 3%, okay? Or we will be subject to fast-tracking approvals, which I'll talk about in a second. We are also located in Tier 1, as is Bronxville and Tuckahoe, which means that development can be based on a minimum average density of at least 50 units per acre. 50 units per acre. Now, you may remember that this was brought about a year and a half ago, by the governor, and she scuttled it because of all the political fallout and the pushback she got. She scuttled it, waited till she got elected again, and now here we are. And she has introduced this in her budget. This is not happening as an open legislative item. This is going through the budget under Article 7 of the law, which says that the governor has the right to do that. Now, it's supposed to be about things that are statewide, not just in particular regions, but she's putting this into her budget. Now, what is the obvious result? Everybody wants their, the budget approved to get their funding, so no one's going to knock this. Okay, rather than do it on a standalone piece of legislation, right, which would no doubt, I think, in my opinion at least, not be supported, like not by anybody around here. So that's the path. No transparency and hiding this thing in a budget, basically sneaking it in, which, we could not condone. Eastchester, as you know, is a mature town. We were formed in 1664, okay? Tuckahoe, not much later than that. Bronxville, not much later than that as well. We are a mature town. There are not open tracts, open parcels to put in these large-scale apartment buildings, okay? This is a small town. We're a long, narrow town right along this railroad track, which is basically half the town. So the end result is that we don't have that open space to try to accommodate this need. We're not like up the line where you have, literally hundreds of acres that are open that can be developed. We're fully developed here. So what will be the result? Remember the McMansions in the 90s and the 2000s? That's what's going to happen now. Only instead of a couple of houses being knocked down and a large house going in, you could have a 12-story, 400-unit apartment building right next door to you in your residential zone. How about that? Further, this action passed by the governor completely usurps our home rule, okay? Home rule is a concept that municipalities have enjoyed over decades and decades, since the Constitution of New York State was drafted, that gives us autonomy over our zoning and our planning, okay? So that's why we have designated shopping center zones, we have areas where we have retail work, we have two-family houses, multiple family houses, we have single-family houses. It's all to promote orderly and controlled growth. That's what zoning is about, okay? Sometimes you visit a place. I went down to see my son in Texas, and there was a gas station near a church, near a house, near an apartment building, near a strip of stores, near, a 20-story building. I mean, it's ridiculous, okay? This is controlled, orderly growth. What does that do? It protects property values, okay? It also is a tool that New Yorkers have been using, elected officials, forever, all right? It's also been supported by decades of case law that have been established by New York courts and the Court of Appeals, which is the highest court in the state. And we are being forced to rewrite our zoning code, completely disregard the master plan, and the secret law is now no longer applicable. So for all these years, we heard how important it is to have the State Environmental Quality Review Act applied to projects that are building buildings or subdivisions and the like. Now they're saying, you know what, we're going to exempt all of this. So it doesn't matter that we enforced it in the past. It doesn't matter that it was recognized as really significant and important in the past. We're going to waive that now. These are exempt, okay? In addition to the restructuring of our zoning code, the zoning law, and the master plan that we spent, tens of thousands of dollars preparing. Also, to make sure things go out the right way, and I'm being very candid here, the governor has decided that they're going to have special administrative judges that she will pick that will be hearing these appeals, okay? Now, you know what the outcome's going to be. You have a person that wants to have this agenda forced upon us. They're going to put their own unelected administrators in charge, and they're going to have a special housing part, land use part, of judges she will appoint. Furthermore, the standard of review will be clear and convincing proof. Clear and convincing proof is a much more rigorous, higher standard than is usually applied to zoning cases, okay? It's a much more difficult thing for a municipality to show that there is clear and convincing proof that what we did was the right thing in this application, okay? The burden of proof is on the town, and it's a very difficult standard to get by. Even the case law that's been, the laws in the state are replete with cases all using different standards, lesser standards. But no, in this case, we're held to a higher standard. Also, there's a clock on all the applications. Certain applications of one kind have to be done in 120 days, others in 180 days. Notwithstanding the complexities of the application or the unique characteristics of each piece of property, whether it be in a steep slope or in a valley or have some other unique feature or some water body around it, that doesn't matter. You're on the clock. You don't approve it on time, it's automatically approved. That's in that law as well. Also, they did have a standard of review for towns to use, but it's watered down. It's neutered. It's basically, is there a burden on utilities, and should we look at the aesthetics? No hardcore stuff that boards can use as a tool to protect the environment of the community, or for that matter, the aesthetic of the community, or property values. Okay, they gave us dull knives basically to dissect an application and really look at it in a good manner. Also, they've totally obfuscated the tax levy cap. For year after year after year, this board has never exceeded the tax cap, the tax levy cap, okay? Not once. We consolidated jobs, we massaged town government every which way we could to avoid going over that tax cap, okay? A lot of other places just voted the tax cap, they avoided the tax cap and said, we're going to bypass it this year. We never did that, not once. We made it work. Now, though, the tax cap is out the window. That doesn't matter when it comes to these types of developments, okay? They want to introduce what they call the pilot tax method, okay? It's not really a tax. Most taxes are assessed based upon ad valorem, meaning the value of the of the property, the home or the building, whatever the case might be. What they're advocating here is a payment in lieu of taxes, which is pilot. Okay? And it's around the state. The agreements are normally for about 50 years, and a lot of them automatically renew. So rather than do a toe-to-toe tax valuation and assessment like everybody else has to go through, these don't have to go through that. They're urged to use a pilot method for the funds that are given to a town, a city, or a village. In addition to that, speaking of funds, she has laid aside $250 million to make this happen. $250 million is nothing, is absolutely nothing. It's a penny compared to the expenses that are going to have to be incurred by municipalities to do the planning on this, to do zoning on this, to hire the consultants, to deal with all of the issues that come with these applications. And also, in addition to that, this is going to have a tremendous impact on what? On our infrastructure, on our stormwater sewer systems, on our sanitary sewer systems, on our parks, right? Think about our first responders, right? Is the Eastchester Fire Department able to handle a 12, 13-story building? Do they have the apparatus and the manpower to do that? because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about putting in a 12, 18-story building in your residential, single-family neighborhood. That's what this is about, okay? This is not about some ambiguous, nebulous thing that's going to happen somewhere else. This is right here, right in our town, because we are in the Tier 1 along the railroad tracks. What about the impact on our schools? Add a 200-unit building on Dale Road or on Park Drive, you name the place, wherever you want to put it. You're going to have 300 kids going to Greenvale School now. They couldn't possibly handle that. So what's going to happen? We're going to have to figure something out. Schools are going to have to be built. Who's going to pay for all of that? We are, okay? Because they're going to have a pilot program. They don't have to pay ad valorem taxes like we do. You're going to have also the impact on safety, on security, on our police department, on EVAC. Think of the volume of calls EVAC will have with a multi-story building with hundreds and hundreds of apartments in it. Also, think about the issues of fresh water, right? We get our water from the Croton Reservoir and the viaducts that are up there in the north part of the county. This same law applies to them. What's going to happen to our water supply up there? Is it going to be tainted? Are our water services going to be the same? Are we going to have more filtration plants here in Eastchester to treat the water? Because up there, they've got all kinds of sewer issues, storm and sanitary. What is the impact on that? What about utilities? What about heating for this building? You know, the governor is all fond of saying, oh, we're going to avoid any kind of natural gas supplement now. We're not going to use natural gas. We're telling Con Ed to shut it off. What are they going to do? How are they going to treat this building? What are they going to do with the heating? Is it going to be fuel oil? Is it going to be geothermal? Is it going to be, solar? No. The whole thing is just ridiculous. And, I mean, I could speak for a long time on many of the other nuances that are in this law. But what I would highly recommend is people getting involved, okay? Look at the law, check the law, okay? Look at what it says, be educated, and then contact the governor's office. Contact Shelley Mayer's office, Senator Shelley Mayer, Assemblywoman Amy Paula's office. On our website tomorrow will be this resolution I'm asking for, along with a letter from me, and their information, their contact information to reach out. I mean, it's just if you don't mind indulging me for another moment, like on parking, for example, on a building like this, there's no minimum parking requirement. So you can't say you have to have at least 2 spaces for every 1 bedroom or 3 spaces for every 2 bedroom. You can't do that. That's not permitted here. It's all as they're saying it is, meaning, you can't enforce a guideline of parking on them. Furthermore, there is a commercial component. So if you're erecting a 12-story building in the middle of the Huntley neighborhood, okay, which is where it could go, there is a commercial component you have to install. That's so that people that live in these large-scale buildings have a place to go to get food and services. So I could picture the bodega in the bottom of the building or next door, or the applicant that says, hey, the law says we have to provide for commercial components near these buildings. I want to knock down Mr. Smith's house, and I want to put in a small grocery store so I can handle the load from the building that's right next door. That's what we're talking about. The ADUs also, I think I neglected to mention ADUs. ADUs are accessory dwelling units. So if you have a basement, if you have an attic, if you have a garage, if you have a detached garage, these things can be converted under this law to housing. Now, for decades and decades, the building code was important and the zoning code was important so that these places were safe, so that people weren't trapped in basements, that weren't stuck in attics if there's a fire, that electrical panels were used judiciously, were properly wired, that the plumbing for extra toilets, for extra showers, for extra sinks, all was properly flowed into the system and worked out. That's all now by the wayside. So they're paving the way for these basement, attic, and garage appointments to go in. And, again, the safety checks, who knows? We all saw the video of the last hurricane where there were walls caving in apartments in the Bronx and Brooklyn because there were illegal apartments, weren't properly established, weren't properly built, and people were dying in there. I mean, this is what we're talking about. It's very real, and it's happening right now. So I would highly recommend you reach out to the governor's office, reach out to Assemblywoman Paulin and to Shelley Mayer, our senator, who, by the way, have expressed their dissatisfaction with this. But you need to bring it home. We need to basically Be involved and be aggressive, okay? Write the letter, make the phone call, do this. We, as a town board, are organizing along with our fellow town boards and supervisors to come up with a strategy on this. There was a letter that this collection of supervisors and mayors put together, okay? I did not sign that letter. I did not sign that letter for one reason, and that was because it wasn't strong enough. It said, well, you know, we are okay with the whole concept, we like the idea, we support this, however, we want to make a few changes. No. This thing has to be destroyed. This thing has to be removed from the budget. And the legislators have the ability to do that. This is not some deal we have to make, or we'll go with this and half of that and two-thirds of that. No, this got to come out. This is far too damaging to a town or our two villages or anybody around us. It is very perilous, and I can't stress enough to you how much you need to get involved. We're involved. We need to hear you get involved also. So I'll stop blathering on here. And we have a resolution. The resolution contains very much of what I just discussed, but I just want to read the now, therefore provisions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Eastchester implores the legislature to remove the housing compact proposal from the fiscal year 23-24 budget and future budgets and engage local governments in dialogue and address our common goals. And be it further resolved that bills of this type be removed from the budget as Article 7 bills and follow the regular legislative process, which will produce better legislation. And be it further resolved that the New York State environmental laws, including SECRA, and the municipality's home rule of zoning as defined in the New York State Constitution and general municipal law shall not be abridged, shall not be limited by any legislation unless that legislation is truly of statewide concern, not regional concern. Lastly, be it further resolved that the town of Eastchester opposes the governor's housing compact and urges the state legislature to preserve and protect municipal home rule and local zoning powers. I would like to ask for a motion, please.
So moved.
All right, is it a unanimous motion? I'm going to call for a unanimous motion.
Yes.
And do we have a unanimous second?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Please call the roll.
Make some comments?
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
sorry.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And the supervisor just said it so eloquently. It was a lot to unpack, but it's a very big bill. And I know he mentioned that a year ago, the governor came out with a proposal, and I think at that time it was proposed like 100,000 units, and she quickly scuttled it. This is bigger, believe it or not. It's upwards of 800,000 units. It is such a grandiose plan. I wouldn't even know where to begin, but I think what's important is, you know, it's a scorched earth punitive approach as well. It breaks everything into a series of what they call preferred actions. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, and the supervisor mentioned the ADUs, and there's split lots, and there's exclusionary measures they want removed, and so forth and so on. And so a municipality, to comply, would have to navigate, if you will, into what they call safe harbors. And if you're not in a safe harbor, there are literally a series of punishments that the governor and the powers that be can impose on your municipality by building whatever it is they see fit. It's an unbelievable proposal. And there's, at a loss of words at just really how bad this would be for any local municipality, and I certainly am opposed to it, and I thank the supervisor for coming up with this. I think it's also important to note that Tuckahoe last night drafted a letter to the governor. They too are rejecting it. Mary Marvin and her board is rejecting it. It is not a political or partisan issue. It is being joined and by people on both sides of the aisle because it's really that bad. So we do urge that the governor remove this. I had some notes, I think, and what I also wanted to say was, this supervisor stated a lot about what it is. I can tell you what it isn't, though. It's not a statement against affordable housing. I don't think there's anyone up here who would say we don't need more adequate and good housing, because we do. I mean, New York State is lacking in that regard. New York State, I've always said, doesn't have a revenue problem. It has a spending problem. And I think if they spent less, they could probably lower taxes. Lower taxes would result in possibly lower rent. It seems that there are other solutions that someone could seek out to grow the housing stock, if you will, or even looking at something like land value taxes that has worked very well in other cities when it comes to revitalizing communities. So I just wanted to put that on the record. I'm in full agreement with this, and I thank you for drafting it, Supervisor.
No problem. Anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion and a second Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson? Aye. Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley? Councilman Marcoccia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Okay, we have no miscellaneous business. That moves us to council member reports. Councilman Marcoccia?
Thank you, Supervisor. Just have a brief report on Lake Isle. The Lake Isle season is right around the corner. Membership applications are being mailed next week to all residents of Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and Bronxville. You can also download one at lakeislecountryclub.com. It's a quick and simple process to register online, so feel free to do that as well. Membership registration will begin on Saturday, April 1st. Office hours will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekends. The golf opening day will be determined towards the end of this month. An update will be given at the next town board meeting, and an email blast will go out to all Lake Isle's 2022 golf members, or any emails that we have. And then finally, the first advisory board meeting of the year is scheduled for Wednesday, April 5th at 7 p.m., and the location is still to be determined, but it will be on Lake Isle premise. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Dooley?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. On this past weekend, the Eastchester Irish American Social Club held their annual gala and installation ceremony at Lake Isle. It was just a great event. There was great food, great Irish music, great Irish dancing, great crowd. You know, I just want to thank all the volunteers who put that together, and Meg Stapleton organized just a gang of volunteers, and it was just a great event. So thanks for that. And with that said, it was all in conjunction with the Eastchester Irish American Social Club's 17th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, which will happen this Sunday, March 12th at 3 p.m. The kickoff, they'll start marching at Immaculate Conception Church in Tuckahoe, proceed up 22 and end up at Lake Isle. This year we have quite a few honorees. We have 7 grand marshals, so I'm going to read them off for the record. We have Brenda Garrity, Liam Deegan, John Collins, John Phelan, John Murtha, Margaret Murtaugh, and Steve Doherty. We also have 2 honorees, Connie Cullen and Elizabeth Schaefer. I just want to thank all the organizers of these great events. It's really great for the town, and all the volunteers. I have many volunteers, so let's everybody get out there on Sunday and line the streets of Eastchester and honor all these great honorees. Thank you.
Rain or shine, right?
Well, it's gonna
48 and sunny.
be sunny.
Well, my mother was Grand Marshal. It was pouring rain. She said, it's a little Irish mist. That's all.
So
That's
it's
March.
gonna be a great day.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. I just have news on the Eastchester Public Library. They continue to have some real awesome activities. They have for March Book Club. There's a lot here. There's tomorrow, they have Neil Diamond with Richard Knox. It's a Zoom at 2 o'clock, and it's a video on a few American songwriters and how they contribute more to the world of pop music than Neil Diamond. And there's knitting and crocheting with Faith on Thursday, graphic novel club. There's film on Fridays, and much, much more. Tax aid is also available, AARP tax aid, and that will be on Monday and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. through Tuesday, April 11th. So you could call the library to register there at 914-793-5055. And we all welcome everyone to become a friend of the Eastchester Public Library, and come enjoy your programs, and consider becoming a member of the Friends of the Library. And you could go to www.eastchesterlibrary.org/friends. That is all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Thank you, Supervisor. The Recreation Department wanted me to announce that, believe it or not, at the end of, I think, the next couple of weeks, summer camp registration will be up on the website. So summer is right around the corner. April 1st, they want you to mark your calendar to join us here at Town Hall for the Easter Extravaganza, and that will be from 11 a.m. to 1:30. I also want to mention that the Village of Tuckahoe is having a parking ticket amnesty program. So if you have any old parking tickets from the Village of Tuckahoe, they are running a program where you'll get a 50% discount if you pay them off between now and running through the end of May. Also, Tuckahoe Beautification is doing one of their annual fundraising drives. Their letter seeking donations is up on the Village Tuckahoe website. If you are inclined to help them out, they are the ladies that do all the plantings in the village, and they get the geraniums, the beautiful hanging baskets, and the wreaths, and they do such a great job making the village look beautiful as always. The Village of Bronxville Adult School. This year, they are celebrating 80 years in the community, and that's a big deal for them. It is one of the oldest adult schools in the country. So if you wanted to honor them, and I hope you do, you could sign up for one of their classes. You can register online, and they are having in-person classes. And lastly, I just wanted to mention and congratulate Teresa Nicholson. She was honored, I think it was February 25th, at IHM Gala. She received the Servium Award, which means I will serve, and that she does. She belongs to a list of organizations and entities in this town. She's everywhere helping people with her generosity and her kindness and things of that nature. So she was honored by IHM, and so congratulations to her. And that concludes my report, Supervisor.
Yeah, I think we all concur in that assessment also. It was a great party on top of that, and it was actually a lot of fun. Couple things on my end. I just spoke at length on the governor's ridiculous law, but I just want to mention that our special joint meeting with the town board and the Eastchester Board of Education had to be canceled because of snow. And they canceled the meeting, obviously because of inclement weather, but we'll get another date set up, probably at some point toward the middle or end of March, and then, or possibly if we had to, early in April. But we certainly will continue with that meeting, and hopefully be out of snow's way, so we don't have to adjourn again. Also, on a much lighter note, we put up a lot of Irish flags on the White Plains Road, and many of the Irish in town are saying, hey, they look like Italian flags. But I want people to know that the flags are orange, and they are brand new out of the box, or a little bit darker. The ones on the other side of the street have been out for 15 years and are significantly sun-faded and lighter. But these are Irish flags, make no doubt about it. And they're proudly displayed because we are proud of our Irish-American heritage. And the parade will be wonderful on Sunday at 3 o'clock, and it's going to be a great party. So we hope everybody comes out and enjoys the parade like we have in years past. And that concludes my report, and that brings us to the second opportunity to address the board. And there being no one, we will adjourn. Someone care to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. See you soon.